highlighting security failures in the Parkland school massacre.
A warning, if there are children in the room, the content here may be disturbing.
Well, with all the screeching recently about Vladimir Putin and Russia and treason.
By the deadline is a couple of days before the debate. Are you concerned about that?
No. Jimmy, my emails are so boring.
We came, we saw, he died.
I don't want to see him impeached. I want to see him in prison.
On this Memorial Day, as our nation honors its unbroken line of fallen heroes, and I see many of them in the audience here today.
We understand that a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center. We don't know anything more than that.
I tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person.
I'm not going to give you a question. You are fake news.
Well. Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? I have, oh, God, a lot of stuff to go over. I hope I can fit it into an hour stream. I don't know if I can. I will try. David is having dinner before bourbon. You can have it before or after or during. It works either way. Yeah, why don't you take care of that guy? There you go. Someone want to get rid of him? There you go. Goodbye. Jeez. This is what you get. This is what you get for being a mod in my stream. It's just like, yeah. Yeah, you feel special. You know this is guys from Williams' stream that are doing that. It's the same MO. It's the same garbage. They can't even be original. What a bunch of idiots. Anyway, if you're going to be a troll, at least be a good one, you know? Make me laugh. Do something worthwhile. Really? Hello, Sawson. How are you doing this evening? Okay, I'm going to go in here and say hi to everybody in the chat. And anything like that comes up, just take care of it. I don't even want to bring it up. When you talk about someone's family, you're out of here. That's one of the rules. You threaten somebody, you're out of here. That's the second rule. You dox somebody, you're out of here. That's the third rule. Only 3 rules. Everything else goes. So, let me go ahead and say hi to everybody real quick. Roy, of course, first. David is here. Josh Russell is here. Sergeant Peterson is here. Sawson Kickhat is here. Cody Bear is here. Let's see. Jamie Big Riggin is here. Fred is in the house. Sawson is here. Wayne Rogers is in the house. How's it going? Okay, that's it. No one, hardly anybody is blue, Jamie. I took almost everybody's wrench. Okay, there wasn't enough people in the chats anymore to have 15 wrenches. So almost everybody lost their wrench, including Dom, only he doesn't know yet. Hey, Huckleberry. So we're going to be talking about something close to home over here that's in Fort Worth. We're going to be talking about Joel Fitzgerald. Joel Fitzgerald is the former police chief here in Fort Worth, Texas, who was fired. Imagine that. Now, what does it take to get fired as a police chief? Well, I guess if you talk to Mr. Fitzgerald, it's one reason, or if you talk to the mayor or the leaders in Fort Worth, it's a completely different reason. So that's what we're going to get to the bottom of. Or at least I hope to shed some light on it. There is a ton of links in the show notes for today's stream. Well, yeah, if you want to dox yourself, you can. Yeah. But there's a ton of show notes today there's a ton of links in the show notes today and regarding this case. Well, I'm going to try to break it down a little bit, and I'm going to give you my opinion on it. Because it seems to be that there's a discrepancy. He claims one thing. He says that he was investigating City Hall corruption, and that's why he got fired. And City Hall says something completely different. Really, Logic? You don't know what doxing is? Really? Someone tell him what doxing is. Anyway, I'm going to stay out of the chat. It's the only way I'm going to get through this today. So let's go through the first video, and we're going to learn a little bit about what's going on and what transpired and led up to his firing, and then what he claims it is.
Do you see yourself as a whistleblower?
Absolutely. I never thought I would. I always saw myself as an investigator.
Former Fort Worth Police Chief Joel Fitzgerald says he's a whistleblower because months before he was fired, he ordered an investigation into corruption at City Hall.
I was terminated because I was given information or about to meet with the FBI, clearly, and they didn't want that to happen.
He says the investigation focused on unauthorized city employees who were allowed to access a sensitive federal law enforcement database.
You know, you can hear a lot in City Hall, but can't prove a lot unless you have witnesses. I had a witness. I had officers one officer who was doing an investigation that people in City Hall denied, and I can prove new.
Fitzgerald's lawyer also represents two fired city IT workers who also claim to be whistleblowers. When city managers fired Fitzgerald in May, they mentioned nothing about any City Hall investigation. They did say they had lost confidence in his leadership, listed a number of reasons, and questioned his loyalty to Fort Worth after he applied to be top cop in Baltimore.
What we're talking about is just making sure that the leadership of the department is going to be there long-term, fully committed to the city of Fort Worth.
Meanwhile, Fitzgerald describes race relations in Fort Worth as tense.
Pay attention, guys.
After a rash of shootings by officers since he left.
It's
the highest profile, the shooting of Tatiana Jefferson, for which now former officer Aaron Dean faces murder charges.
I feel that the minute that I walk out the door that there's 10 successive police shootings, that again, there's no coincidence to that. It is very sad.
The former chief says he supports more police oversight. City leaders support hiring a new police monitor, but have resisted creating a larger review board.
I am in favor of a civilian review board. I'm in favor of citizens being able to look over the actions that police officers take.
Unless it's
and that the
him.
police chief takes.
Fitzgerald says when he was fired, city managers offered him a large severance if he resigned and agreed not to talk publicly. He refused.
In the world of law enforcement, there's no disloyalty in telling the truth. There's no disloyalty when you are exposing something that's corrupt.
Really?
And again, would I do it all over again? I certainly would.
The mayor and city manager say there's nothing to Fitzgerald's claims and add they're confident they'll ultimately win in court. As for an FBI investigation into City Hall, there's no public indication that's happening. Scott Gordon, NBC5.
So you hear what he said? Said he was investigating City Hall. It's the first anybody heard of this. And don't you think if he was investigating the corruption of City Hall, even if he got fired, he would have come out and said it? That's what I don't understand. He would have come out and said it, right? Was he going to keep it to himself? What is he doing? Is he leveraging that to get his job back? Is that what he's trying to do? I'll tell you why he lost his job. He did apply for Baltimore to be the commissioner, and he got the job. He got the job for Baltimore. So, his time was limited here in Fort Worth. Now, what happened was someone, of course, people are going to vet him when they find out who's going to be their commissioner. He's going to get vetted by the news media and other things. They're going to find out his background. Betsy Price even announced, that's the mayor of Fort Worth, announced that he was going to Baltimore. It was a done deal. You want to know what happened? He was vetted in Baltimore, and all his claims that he used to get his job didn't measure up. He didn't do the things he claimed he did. And guess what? He didn't get turned down from the job. When he saw those claims go up and he couldn't back up his, he backed out and turned the job down after he was going to be hired. He backed out and turned it down. So then it comes back to Fort Worth. He thinks everything's all wonderful. Something else happened, though. Let's take a look. And this is what they call the straw that broke the camel's back. Pay close attention to this.
Fort Worth's police chief and several officers were in Washington, D.C. to attend a national event in honor of 2 officers and the widow of fallen officer Garrett Hull. That's when witnesses say the chief confronted the president of the State Combined Law Enforcement Association for kicking him out of the association because he registered without the proper credentials.
It was his first time to be in a room with someone that had caused him some embarrassment publicly, and he took the opportunity to visit with that person about that.
But critics say things got heated and escalated to a point that was inappropriate and unprofessional, especially for a chief. Fort Worth Mayor Betsy Price released this statement saying, "I wasn't present, but I've been made aware of the situation. I have asked David Cook and Jay Chapa to get to the bottom of this. We hold all of our officers, including our chief, to a very high standard. There should be no exceptions." This isn't the first time Chief Fitzgerald has faced criticism. There were questions about his commitment to Fort Worth after learning that he was the top pick to lead the Baltimore Police Department. He later took himself out of the running. The police union has also questioned how the chief handled disciplinary action and demotions of several officers. As far as the recent incident in D.C., many people agree it should have been handled differently.
Looking back, could have chosen a little bit wiser setting. I don't think there was ill intent, but I think he's probably looking back, wishing he had chosen a different setting for that.
Okay. So, he wasn't taken out of the running. He took himself out of the running. And you can find that information online. He took himself out of the running. Now, what happened, okay? The altercation that happened in Washington, D.C., you heard it, was the head of the state's unions. He was in charge of all the police unions all of the states. Now, he was kicked out. Did you hear that? He was kicked out of that. Okay, because he didn't meet the criteria to be in that. And that's because he didn't join the local one. I guess the police chief doesn't have to. So he didn't join the local one. So he felt embarrassed because he was basically told, no, you can't be part of this. So he goes after this guy on the stand while they're posing for a picture. Just before that picture was taken in that video, he's going after this guy, and it got loud, and it embarrassed the entire police force. So that was what they call the straw that broke the camel's back, when it probably should have been other things. Okay, well, I'm going to play this final video, and then we're going to discuss some stuff.
I spoke with the former chief this afternoon. He told me he had no warning that this was coming. He says he has done nothing wrong and that he is planning to take legal action against the city.
So he's suing to get his job back.
About how professional we've been.
The last straw for Chief Joel Fitzgerald was an incident at National Police Week in Washington, D.C.
It becomes the one that you say, maybe it's time to change.
It happened right before this photo, a reported confrontation between Fitzgerald and the leader of the State Police Association that had recently publicly suspended his membership. Fort Worth Police Association President Manny Ramirez saw it happen.
We had, over 70 officers up there to honor all of the fallen for National Police Week. And we didn't want anything to take away from that.
And if that was the final blow, perhaps this was the first. Viral video of Jacqueline Craig and her daughters being pushed to the ground and arrested after calling police for help.
At that point, when he didn't do right by me, I felt like that should have been the firing point.
Then there was the news late last year that Fitzgerald was in the running to be commissioner of the Baltimore Police Department.
That's going to chip away at an officer's ability to look and say, well, are you really committed?
But supporters of the chief see a different reason for his fall from grace. After the Craig case, he fired at least 8 officers over how they used force in different situations.
And he continued to tell officers, I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to hold you accountable. And when he held them accountable, it made the system uncomfortable. So we really believe this is a huge step backwards. Huge.
Assistant Chief Ed Krause, who's been with the department for 27 years, will be acting chief while the city manager works over the next several months to hire a permanent leader. Meanwhile, former Chief Fitzgerald's attorney tells me he is already working on the process to appeal the firing. Reporting live tonight from Fort Worth Police Department headquarters, Alice Barr, NBC5.
All right, Alice, thank you. You can read the chief's full termination letter from the city on NBCDFW.com.
Okay. So you heard all that. He was basically, his membership was suspended because he wasn't a local member. How can he be in the nationwide union if he's not in the local one? And that's the criteria and how to do this. So he was basically, his membership was suspended. He didn't like how it was done, and he went after the guy. But this guy has a history of siding, and I'm not saying in all cases. There were some cases he would side with the criminal when a police officer had to use force. And of course, there were some cases where it looked pretty negligent, and it was out of the ordinary, the type of force that they were using, especially on that lady. You got to be kidding me. She wasn't a criminal. She's the one that called for help. And this is what happens to her. We don't know the full story behind that, but a lot of people feel he dropped the ball on that, especially her. So this guy is basically firing police officers for defending themselves, and then won't even help this lady who truly needed the help. So this is the kind of person he is. Of course he wanted to be in Baltimore. Of course he did. His way of, he would be loved by all, especially the criminals in Baltimore. Of course he wanted to be there. He was going to bring that city into even greater ruin. Here's a guy that did not do the best for Fort Worth. He believed in holding police accountable only when it made him look good. Because, we all know that, people will point a gun at a police officer and then their parents will sue the police department when their kid gets shot for pointing a gun at an officer. And then the whole town will get up in arms all about this. Okay, and this happens over and over again all over the nation. But this guy will go after an officer in that case, but he won't go after the officer for what they did to that lady. You got to be kidding me. This is the kind of guy I wish he'd just go to Baltimore. I don't want him back in Fort Worth. Okay, I mean, I'm literally 10 minutes south of Fort Worth. I can drive into the city limits in 5 minutes, but downtown I am 10 minutes south of downtown Fort Worth. I don't need that there. I don't need that. And he claims because he was gone from the police department, immediately they had all these shootings because he wasn't there. As if he was going to walk around with his officers and stop them from pulling the trigger. Bull crap. Not going to happen. He's not going to do that. He's trying to say all that happened because he wasn't there. Look, this guy wanted to go to Baltimore. And as soon as he was had for lying, trying to go to Baltimore, he backed out of that job, even after they offered it to him. But he knew if he had taken that job in Baltimore, he was going to come under scrutiny and would have been called out for his lies. So he backed off. So now he's going to come back and stay with little old Fort Worth. And look what happened. Look, the character of a man or a woman will come out. The character of a man or a woman will come out under a stressful situation. Oh, it's easy to fake your good character when there's nothing going on. It's easy. We don't need this in Fort Worth. We don't need this. We need good police officers. We don't need him. Man, there was a police chief in Dallas during the time when the 5 police officers were shot. That's a police chief I respect. And guess what? Just because I don't like Joel Fitzgerald doesn't make me racist. Because the Dallas police chief was black. Does that make me racist? I've been called racist for saying that I don't like this guy already. Oh, well. I'm going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and maybe take some phone calls. I don't know. We'll see. I'll open up Discord here in a minute when I come back. So, you guys hang in there. We don't have many people in here today. I think it's because of the football. Who knows? It is Thursday night, and it is late. 9 o'clock is tough for some people.
The only thing that's different from the time I was a kid till now is we use better tools to blow up stuff now.
Yes, that's the difference
between more money on our recreational explosives.
Men and boys. Men have better, more expensive toys.
There you go.
The older you get, the more expensive and better your toys get. Huh?
how smooth that cut is. I actually cut the wooden dowel, and look how smooth that is. You can see. You know, there's good beer, there's bad beer, and then there's this beer. This is the only thing you do with this beer. You don't drink it. Dear God, I am saving the planet. I am saving rednecks all over by destroying this alcohol. Yeah, here's one piece, and we're gonna walk over about 10 feet over here. Here's the other piece.
That's from the 223, the 30-30.
Yeah, this one is from the 30-30. Completely opened up. Oh my God, that smell is killing me. How can people drink this stuff?
It's natural light, baby. You don't get no better than this. I feel like beating my wife.
And the coils love me. I am sure a gorgeous hunk of man.
And we'll just say end of that. Okay. So, back from the break. And what do you guys have to say about this? I don't know how many people know about this. This has been going on for a little while. This whole situation with our former Fort Worth chief. They do have an interim chief right now until they decide what they're going to do as far as a permanent one. He did, and there's a link in the show notes. The first hearing has already happened for the lawsuit, and part of it was thrown out. And I found it funny because if you look at the video, and like I said, all this shit, it's all in the show notes. If you look at the video, the judge had purple hair. She had purple hair. I was trying to get a picture of it or something before the stream started, and I just had to. Yeah, I couldn't get it done, and I really wanted to. Well, he couldn't stay in Baltimore. If he had stayed in Baltimore, Sergeant, he would have had to own up to his BS. He lied. He talked about his background and things he's done, and the news and media outlets vetted him, and they exposed him in Baltimore. So they didn't turn him down. As soon as that happened, he backed out and turned the job down. They didn't say no to him. He turned it down. Okay? And then he comes back here like, oh, yeah, everything's going to be fine in Fort Worth. He had no loyalty to Fort Worth. Okay, if he really cared, because he said because he was gone, since he's been fired, there were 10 shootings in Fort Worth. If he really gave a damn, and if he really thought if he really thought that his presence stopped people from getting killed, then him leaving to go to Baltimore could have been deemed negligent homicide. Think about that. He didn't care too much when he was looking for a job in Baltimore. He didn't care about Fort Worth. Remember, it was because of his presence that people weren't getting shot. He left, and he said 10 people were shot since he was fired. Well, he didn't care anything about them. He was going to Baltimore. So it's just absolute BS, absolute garbage. Okay, and it wasn't about racism that he was really in Fort Worth. He's gonna say it was about racism. It was about, he said the racism was so bad in the police department. Really? Unbelievable. Oh yeah, he's a whistleblower. He wanted whistleblowing, protection. Okay? He wanted the whistleblower protection of Fort Worth. Really? Well, okay. Well, if he had all this, if he was investigating corruption in City Hall, and that's what he's claiming now, the same City Hall he's suing to get his job back. Think about that. He's claiming corruption in the same City Hall that he's suing to get his job back. Why don't we hear about that corruption? Or is he hedging his bets? Is he releasing the information he has on corruption? Is he waging that to try to get his job back? I was investigating corruption. Give me my job back. He hasn't released it yet. Think about this. If he really wanted to expose the corruption, wouldn't he have released the information already? Wouldn't he have done that? I mean, if he's really this investigator and this great person, I would think that he would want to at least tell the world about all this terrible corruption. No, he's not mentioning it. This guy is leveraging that to get his job back. And I think it's a complete crock of crap. Every city hall the size of Fort Worth. If you have a city the size of Fort Worth, your city hall is going to have some stuff going on that you don't like. I don't care what city hall it is. If it's that size, of course there's garbage going on in there. Yeah, lately, Roy, trying to expose corruption is an impeachable offense. Especially if it proves to be true. Okay, I didn't even hook up the phone. I'm going to hook it up now. In case anybody wants to call into this shindig. Okay. We are hooked up and ready to go for the phone call. And let me get the, let me get it up on the screen. Huh? There we go. Now, look at that. It's up on the screen. We will take a phone call, maybe a couple of them. We got this, we got a lot of information out of the way early. 35 minutes and already had our break? Wow. We are so productive here. It's easy when you don't have a huge audience. Oh my God, this audience is dwindling down. I guess I'm scaring people away. So let me see. I'm going to open up Discord if anybody's going to get into Discord here. And that's unmuted now. I got Roy in there right now, but I think he's working. So what do you guys think about this? I don't know if anybody's heard. I mean, this is kind of local news. You know, it's kind of local news. So I was hoping, actually, Carolina and Fort Worth would be here. But, not sure. We have Carolina Auditor News here. Boulder is in the house now. I don't know if we get anybody new here. Nobody in a bit. This has been a very small stream. But like I said, the phone line's open if you want to call in. Boulder is in the Discord, man. What's going on, Boulder?
Just had to lay down a little kiddos at my house.
Oh, okay. Doing the dad thing, huh?
Yeah. But, once in a while.
Well, man, this whole thing that's going on in Fort Worth right now, like I said, with Joel Fitzgerald suing the city hall basically to get his job back. He's suing the city. He wants his job back. He didn't want it too bad when he was trying to get a job in Baltimore, but so I don't know if you know what. I know
I want my rib back.
You want your rib back? Yeah. Can we sue to get our rib back?
Oh, good point. All evil in the world gone. Yeah, I think we should. It's a good cause.
Yeah. Hey, Objective Truth. How's it going? We're talking about the fired Fort Worth police chief, Joel Fitzgerald. That's who we are talking about. This guy right
fill
here.
me in. Let's do a short recap.
Okay.
I missed it.
That's fine. I'll do a short recap. Here's what happened. This guy had filed to or applied to become the Baltimore commissioner. Okay, City of Baltimore commissioner. Now, in the process of all this going on, we find out even the city mayor here, Price, she announced that he was going to get the job in Baltimore. He was the front-running candidate, and he did. He was offered the job. So that happened. That happening, the media, of course, when they hear they're going to get a new police commissioner, what do you think they do? They're going to vet the guy, right?
It depends on if he's Democrat or Republican.
Well, I don't know, man. The way he acts, he's a Democrat, but who knows? Now, this guy gets vetted, and they find out that all of his claims, not all of them were quite true, and they exposed him. And
you mean he didn't climb Everest?
No, I guess not, huh? So basically, they weren't true. So when he heard he was exposed, he immediately backed out of the job. Okay, so now he's back here in Texas.
So he's done for.
Well, yeah, he went.
He pulled a Nimmer.
Yeah, basically, yeah, he pulled a Nimmer. Yep, false valor. I don't know. I don't know what he was claiming, but here's the deal. So now he goes to Washington, D.C. They were honoring 2 police officers, and the head of the state's union of all the state, like each state has their union for the police, and there's this guy that oversees all of them, all of the states. Well, he told Fitzgerald while he was in D.C., hey, man, your membership in our union is suspended. And he, like, why? And he says, well, because you're not even a member of your state's union. You have to be a member of your state's union to be in this union. It's part of it. So when that happened, he felt embarrassed, and they started having words before a photograph was taken, and you can see the picture. It's in the videos I played earlier. And basically, they had words, and it got loud, and it embarrassed everybody, embarrassed the police force. Here they are honoring 2 police officers in Washington, D.C., and these 2 are arguing on the stand, basically, while they're trying to take a photograph.
And that's what everybody's gonna remember for this year's convention.
Yeah. So he gets back from that thing, and everybody's like, what the heck is this? And he gets fired. They're like, this is the last straw. You don't even want to be in Fort Worth, and then you go and do this. We're done with you. So now
that's conduct unbecoming of the uniform.
Yeah, well, I mean, he doesn't want to be there, and he's, it wasn't very good. So now he goes, well, I was exposing corruption in City Hall, and they fired me to silence me. Okay.
What?
That's what he said. So, I was about ready to hand over information, and I'm like, well, why don't you then? Just because you're fired doesn't mean you can't expose City Hall. Let's just see it. No.
Yeah.
He's using that claim guaranteed to scare City Hall into hiring him back. He's leveraging. He didn't give a damn about anybody. And here's a guy that
do you think it'll work?
I don't think so. But here's a guy that claimed that once he was fired, the police officers shot 10 people, and that wouldn't have happened if he was on the force. And I'm like,
yeah, I heard that part.
I don't understand that. How the heck couldn't that happen? If he really cared?
Because he patrols every street every night dressed as RoboCop.
Well, yeah, yeah. Maybe that was one of his claims, but
He cleaned up Fort Worth.
Yeah, so here's the deal. Okay, if he was so worried about his officers shooting people in his absence, why was he trying to go to Baltimore?
What do you mean? 10 people were shot by police in Fort Worth?
10 people were shot by police since he was fired. That's what he claims.
Well,
I know that.
Maybe they think that while the sheriff's away, the mice will play.
Well,
I don't
yeah,
know.
maybe. I know that 7 out of the 10 were shooting at the cops. So
yeah.
So
we didn't ask what they were doing when they got shot, did we?
No, I mean, I think one of them was shot trying to almost drag the police officer by the car. We saw some video on that earlier, but I just
justified.
Yeah, maybe
had a gun in his hand. Justified.
He fired
shooting
a lot
at the
of
cops. Justified.
Yeah, he fired a lot of police officers while he was there because he felt they used excessive force, and he was doing that a lot. So of course his attorneys.
If the guy was standing there like filming the cops and he got shot, nope.
Who knows? I mean, I just, like I said, this is just, it just feels, I feel dirty listening to it. It's like I'm listening to Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson spew their race baiting garbage because he said, "Oh, Fort Worth Police Department is so racist and so full of racism," and I'm like, you're a black man and you were the chief of police of the Fort Worth Police Department, who you're now calling racist. I don't get it.
He had a hand in hiring most of.
Look, Dallas Police Chief's black. Okay, Fort Worth Police Chief was black. Okay, I'm sorry, but
yeah, I don't get it. But it's got to be the patrol. The patrol people. They must not be listening.
Yeah, don't shoot back.
It's all training, people. You just some of the training is over the top and some of it is downright tyrant. I get it.
Fred, oh my God, you just hit the Fred just
don't
hit the
shoot
nail.
At cops. Stay alive longer. A little bit, just a little bit longer.
Now, Fred, your statement, okay? It says it's funny how no one ever heard of Fort Worth officer abuse before he was there. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Now, I mean, we did, of course. There were cases of it. There's always cases of it, and it happens. But the fact of what he considered abuse was ridiculous, especially when his officer did abuse someone and he won't help her. This woman calls 911 and the police show up and beat her instead. And it's all on video. I mean, unbelievable.
I've seen that one.
Oh yeah,
I've seen that one.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
So and she's like, man, he should have got fired for that. He dropped the ball. Well, how can he say? First off, it was a black woman. If the department's so racist, how come he didn't do anything to help her? Help one of his own. I don't know what you want to call that. I mean, it just, he's
in between the blue line and the civilians. He can't join either side. He's turned his back on his brothers and everybody that he's alienated on his way to Baltimore. Oh, think about this guy in Baltimore. Is he gonna clean up Baltimore?
No, he was gonna keep it going in the direction of complete crap hole it was heading in, and halfway there.
And then you know what? In about 5 years, he's gonna run for mayor.
This guy has all it is political aspirations. Okay. Yep. Yeah. Fred, absolutely. It's never on the grand scale people call it. And yeah, Fort Worth is one of the more respected departments out there. Of course, they've had. Look, when you have that many officers, I think there's 1,400 right now in police officers in Fort Worth. I think 1,400. Okay, when you have that many, just the law of averages, you might have one or two that just aren't exactly that great. Okay, you're going to get some. I'm just saying, you're going to get some that slip through the cracks.
How many were in your high school?
In my high school was my graduating class was 184. But my high school at the time was 480-something students.
My graduating class was 600, and my high school was 25.
Well, now my high school has gotten so big, it's huge now. But
I'm just saying, because we started with 750 in my freshman year, and only 600 graduated. That's the law of averages.
Yeah. Well, I think.
So yeah, you think the police are always going to make the right decision when they have a massive shortage of police officers, and they're taking kids right out of high school with a barely 90 IQ? Some of them, not all.
Yeah, well, what they're doing right now to get someone to be a cop is they're scraping the bottom of the barrel. No one wants to be a cop anymore. Gee, I wonder why. Because if they have to, God forbid, they have to shoot somebody in self-defense, that's the end of their career. Yeah, but it's the end of their career. Every time something like that happens, you might as well just go, okay, my career's over with. I just had to shoot somebody.
Yeah.
Because the court of public opinion
you make one wrong move.
Yeah, the court of public opinion will convict you and you'll lose your job. You may be found not guilty, but you're still going to lose your job.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, I don't get it. Analog just jumped in. How's it going, Analog?
Good. How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing wonderful.
David. What's up, Boulder?
I figured I'd talk about this because it's so close to home. I mean, I live, like I said, 10 minutes from downtown Fort Worth. So this thing is, and let me tell you something. I've never had a bad incident with a Fort Worth cop, ever. And I've met a bunch of them. I've
never had a bad instance with any cop that's ever arrested me, even while I was being, nice to them, or mean to them, or belligerent, or whatever. And yeah, you can say it's Boulder cops, but look, Boulder has had a ton of bad press. It just, it's the interaction, it's the personality, it's how it's perceived, and it's victimhood status.
Yeah,
it's completely the interaction.
Michelle,
like if I've ever had an issue, like if I've ever run into cops, whether I was in the wrong or in the right, if you treat them square, they always treat you square. You treat them like a human, they treat you like a human back. It's that simple.
Yeah. Michelle.
But there are those small percentage of interactions that do make it viral.
Yeah.
Where you do have a police officer with a questionable IQ level, or like Donut always says, having a bad day.
Yeah, and
I'm like, well, that doesn't allow you to violate my rights.
No, it doesn't.
I'm going to stand up for my rights.
Yeah, but those videotapes are so well edited too, aren't you think?
I'm just not going to get shot doing it.
Okay, I want to answer something Michelle said. She doesn't believe that. Now, let me tell you something. If a police officer has to fire his weapon and kill someone, 90% of the time, that is a career-ending shoot. And that may be a career ending at that department. There's no way they're going to be able to walk a beat or in that city again. Okay, and then they have to try to get hired somewhere else. So they have to move their family because they can't be one in that. Very seldom, 90% of the time, it's either going to end their career or it's going to make them move to a different department because there's no way they're going to be able to be an officer in that city again, especially if it's a smaller town. They're done.
If you think about that, Steve, if that's in the back of their head before they ever pull their weapon, they're not an effective officer.
Yeah. No, they're not. And a lot of them, you know how many officers are getting shot now because they're hesitating?
Yes.
It's happening a lot.
It's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can do as an officer.
Skyrocketed.
Michelle, we can have a talk, or you can call in. Okay, we
call
can
in,
have
Michelle.
Yeah, we can have a talk all you want. But I know firsthand, because of the officers I know, what happens when you're dealing with that situation. Okay?
Yeah, see, is not an effective argument amongst us in this group. If you've heard us go back and forth for hours on every subject imaginable with albeit auditors or flat earthers or whatever, won't cut it.
Okay, well, firsthand, you can call up right now. There's the phone number. You can call up and tell me. You can tell me firsthand right now. Okay? Because every time you see a bad shoot that hits the news and everybody's screaming up and down, even the ones that the police officer was exonerated. Let's talk about Tennessee. Brown with his hands up, don't shoot. That police officer was exonerated because they found out later by Brown's friend who said, yeah, I lied under oath, and yeah, he didn't have his hands up. He charged the police officer and tried to take his gun away from him, and that's why he was shot. That officer can't work as an officer anymore, and he was found not guilty.
Nope.
Okay?
Well, if you think about, our boys that we send overseas that commit by training.
That's a cop-out. Well, wait a second. Wait, that's a cop-out. You don't want to talk to me online? You will talk to me one day? Come on, Michelle.
Oh, I'll talk with you one day when I have all my facts written down.
If you're in...
Listen,
what's that?
I listen to 10 police, pro-police video channels, and I listen to 10 or 20 auditor channels every day. I'm at work. I'm jamming on my headset. And I'm just like, all right, let's listen to the Masters Report, or let's listen to this dumbass, or let's listen to the big channels like Donut Operator, whatever.
Yeah. Well,
every single one has a different take on it.
Yeah.
And each one of them, if you really watch the entire video, they have the same take on it.
Yeah.
And none of them do the same videos for that reason.
No, Roy, don't go after Michelle for that. I think I know what she's talking about, but here's the situation. Look at the Las Vegas guy, the guy that shot that person in the hallway with his AR-15. Okay, remember that one? When he kept on saying, crawl towards me, and then he lost his balance and he got shot.
I have a real problem with that one.
Oh, yeah, and all the officers I talked to said that guy should never work again, but guess what? He's actually going back to work as an officer.
No way.
Oh, yes, he's going back to work as an officer. So it doesn't always happen.
In his panties. He was screaming in his panties. He should never be a police officer.
This is ridiculous.
How could you in good conscience?
But just because I know, but just because you have a couple of incidences like that where the officer does get his job back, and of course those are the ones that are going to be all over the news, and they're going to promote those because because they have an agenda. They have a viewpoint they want to substantiate, and they're going to pick and pull everything they can. But that doesn't happen a lot. 10% of the time, that officer might work again, even if he is capable of working again after he's killed somebody. Do you know how that weighs on a person's mind? Having to kill somebody?
And their soul, and everybody in their family, and everybody on their block, and in their church or not church, whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Anybody that's ever had to kill somebody, even if it's justified, has to live with that.
How could you want to even take on that job?
I had a guy come after me with a baseball bat in Rhode Island, and when I hit him, and when I was done hitting him, he lost a lot of peripheral vision out of one of his eyeballs. Okay, this guy tried to kill me with a baseball bat. I still felt like crap because of the damage I did to the guy. I still felt like crap, and I got hit.
Well, Pastor Jack got beat by the police. What were you wearing at the time? Just kidding.
His skin. He was wearing his skin.
He was wearing his skin. Well, what I'm saying is, I feel like crap, man. And God forbid if I ever have to shoot somebody. Dear God, I hope that never happens.
Absolutely, Steve. I feel the same way.
Who the hell wants to? Okay, so, yeah, these police officers are
psychopaths. My ex-wife.
Yeah. Yeah, what was your business, Pastor Jack? Yeah, let's say, what were the police interfering in your business? Yeah.
Well, I think that I've said my piece. I'm going to go and get the kids ready for bed.
Yeah, and I'm about
keep
done.
Listening. maybe make room for Sergeant Peterson to come in here into the old Discord. He knows where it's at.
Oh, my God. Pastor Jack, I watched the movie. I know what you're talking about. I knew what you were talking about before you said the movie. I knew what you were talking about, man.
Love you, Boulder.
All right.
Later, man.
Cheers,
night, guys.
Yep. Oh. I don't know, man. It's like I said, the police issue that's happening is because a lot of the good people don't want to be police officers anymore. They don't want
What's
to.
the motivation to become a cop
what's the motivation? I mean, everything you do. God forbid if you have to defend yourself. It's like, I want to go home to my family, but man, if I do, I might get charged, with murder. I might lose my job. I will never do this again. It's like your police officer career is good for one shoot, then you're done. Think about that.
If before you make any decision, you have to decide whether it's going to be good for your career or bad for your career.
Yeah,
you've already
saving
lost.
your life. Yes, if your decision as a cop is should I save my life or just
save
die,
my career, yeah, you're fucked.
It's like my pension. My wife will get my life insurance and pension if I die here, or do I shoot back?
Right, and this is all rolling through your head in less than a second.
Well, it's probably rolling through your head every day. You're probably driving to. I mean, I've driven to calls with police officers where you can.
Oh, so yeah, even en route, they're going, "Oh my goodness!"
Yeah, and it's like, and they're running through their head what could possibly happen.
Right.
I mean, I remember this in ride-alongs. It's like, okay, Steve, if we show up and this is happening, I want you to do this. I want you to do that, just to keep yourself protected. Because we could walk into a shooting spree. We don't know. And then those cars aren't bulletproof,
Yeah, what's the motivation to become a police officer? Oof.
Oh, Pastor, you mean that one that they're saying that they have evidence that could exonerate him and they're withholding that? Yeah, it's funny, and look, I understand. I don't believe in capital punishment. I don't believe in the death penalty unless someone saw them do it. Okay, I really don't. I just, because we've gotten it wrong. I know it. And whether or not this guy is innocent or guilty, it's always, look, everybody when they're coming up to that date. Everybody when they're coming up to that date. We have evidence that could exonerate us. I hear it all the time. Living in Texas, we hear it coming out of Huntsville all the time. Everybody does. Just before they get gassed. Oh, yeah. Oh, I have evidence that could exonerate me. No, I'm not saying the guy is innocent or guilty. But present it. Present it. If there was evidence there, if they're really withholding evidence that could exonerate him, they're going to get in a lot of trouble and they're going to get sued after the fact. Any family member or anything
that's
like
more
that.
Of an act of desperation, like when they call a timeout to ice the kicker.
Yeah.
They're just trying to buy, desperation.
Roy, from what I heard too, I'm pretty sure they got it wrong. Okay. I'm pretty sure they got it wrong too. Okay. They're refusing DNA. So it's all going to come out. The pressure's going to go up. Just wait. Pastor, the pressure is going to get, as it gets closer to the time, there's going to be more and more pressure. Just wait and watch. I'm just telling you. There's nothing we can do.
I have to jump back in here.
Okay.
The guy did it. And he didn't do it. He didn't do it just to her. He raped 7 women.
That's what they're saying
7.
They have proof of?
And they didn't just find his DNA inside her. They found it on her. And so all of the stuff when they're like, oh, well, sperm can last this long and this long. Look, his saliva was on her skin. He was there that night. That saliva on her skin. If you go back and look at the court records like I did.
Yeah.
The actual trial transcripts.
Oh, I'm going to have to now.
I was like,
hey, maybe
I wanted to know.
Maybe we should talk about this next week. We'll do some research and get some stuff up. We'll talk about it.
Hopefully it'll be after he's gone. Because this guy did that crime.
Oh, why'd I put that back?
Now, was the young dumbass police fiance, who was a cadet, a trainee, was he eventually turned out to be an asshole? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guess how many poor dirt farmer turns up every week?
Yeah. Well, guess what, Pastor Jack? According to the news, he's innocent, you're saying? Yeah, I know. And the news has always been forthright and trustworthy. And shit, I'll sell you CNN if you think that's friggin' good. I mean, come on. Really, Pastor?
No, I didn't say where the saliva was found on her skin. I want somebody else.
Thank you.
By next week to tell me where it was found. And that does not last. It does not last more than 12 hours. So by the time they found her, they found it. He was the last one to see her alive. Provably.
Yeah.
So when you see these experts, like even Dr. Michael Baden, who I was like, yes, he came out and said Epstein didn't kill himself, which he did.
Thanks. You just got my whole friggin' show demonetized. Thank you. Damn.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm not sorry.
You say it one time, there goes the whole damn stream. Jeez.
I'll make up for the $2.
Yes, if you want to support the stream and not screw me over, you can do a super chat.
I've got 3 Gillette mugs here already. How many
can do
more
a PayPal.
can my kids eat ice cream out of?
Or you can buy one of Boulder's ugly mugs, so we can recuperate the cost.
No, I don't want to go there right now. But the thing is, this guy did it. So if anybody else wants to tell me where the DNA was found on her skin, in the stream, in the next stream, whatever, I already know. You tell me, and that means that you've done your due diligence. Until then, he's guilty. He hangs. Electricity's too good. Poison's too good.
Firing
now,
squad?
The ex-husband's a piece of shit, but, we're not talking about dumbass cops here.
Okay, anyway, maybe we'll talk about that next Thursday.
There for a second.
Hey, also, tomorrow night, guess what? I am not going to the
Friday
farm,
night cigar stream,
so I will be doing a cigar stream tomorrow night. I will be freezing my tail off just for you guys, and I will be smoking a damn good cigar.
Nice.
So let me go ahead and start the outro, and I'm going to use Yuki's pre-recorded explosive voice at the end.
Yeah, I'm seeing Yuki's having some issues in the chat.
I just learned how to count down backwards in Spanish.
I say you give it to Boulder.
Anyway. We didn't have a whole lot of people in here this evening, but maybe we'll get more views because I think this was an important subject if you're living in the area to at least get this information. Hey, William. Let me see. Your hours have changed, and I get home a lot later, so I've been missing some of your videos. Oh, no problem, William. That's okay. I had one of your trolls in here earlier, so.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. A couple of them actually, but tomorrow night cigar stream. Sunday is my son's birthday was Monday, but we're going to be celebrating it Sunday. We'll be at the shooting range. He's having a skeet shooting birthday party, so. I will be doing that
awesome.
Sunday.
Nice.
Yeah, we got a bunch
of people. How Texan of you.
Yes, and a bunch of police officers are going to be there. Oh, imagine that.
Well, Gavin can bend some ears.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, God. Anytime he gets around his police officer friends.
Hey, what do you carry? What do you carry?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You should. Oh, my God. Every time he talks to a cop, hey, what are you carrying? What are you carrying? Why do you carry that gun? That gun isn't that good.
Yeah, why? It's a garbage.
That gun's junk. It was made in 1967 in the Czech Republic. Useless.
Oh, my God. I'm going to lower the volume so we can get Yuki's voice nice and loud.
All right. Cheers. Good to see you,
cheers
Steve.
out.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Good to see you, Boulder.
Good
night, everyone in chat. I'm not on YouTube, so good night, guys.
Oh, man. That was nuts. Okay, I am going to mute Discord for a second. Just until we end this thing. We're almost there. Yeah, everybody have a good night. And I'm going to blow up... well, Yuki's going to actually blow it up. Yuki recorded a bunch of really cool stuff for the end of the stream, so she's going to blow it up. Even though she's not here, she's blowing things up today. Hopefully I get the timing right on this, because it's not in the... it's not linked up yet. I'm doing this manually, so... Yes, yeah, you can give me some shekels via PayPal. You can do a super chat, or you can give me shekels via the Patreon. All the links are in the show notes. Or you can at least get something in return and get an ugly mug. Go to Teespring, get that ugly mug. Almost guaranteed to make your day. Well, it's got to be better after looking at that thing. I mean, jeez.